the computer. I think the recording has started. Welcome if you are going to be watching this online. My name is Amun Karel and I'm going to be a professor, instructor for this class. I taught HCI class, Introduction to HCI last semester, and I'm excited to teach you. And I want you guys not to be scared of Kotlin or feel discouraged if you are learning at a slow pace. We're gonna catch up. I'm gonna help you. We're gonna actually start all the projects in the class before you do it. Most of them we'll do a lot of the coding in the class for the projects, and I will set you guys in the right direction, right? So please don't worry too much about that. Try your best. Watch. The main thing I would say is read the book before coming to class or after coming to class, right? It's fine if you want to watch the lecture first. We're going to cover the same material, but maybe to a more complex subject, we're going to be covering. Um, yes, so I still have more students coming. But anyways, we will apply the code that you do using the book in a more complex setting. So please don't worry about it. I think we're gonna cover everything, and then I'll be guiding you guys all along. And let's get started. Let me share the slides. Let me get my slides here. Um, let's see where I have my slides here. And I'll be sharing my screen, and then I need the slides and the canvas here so that I can show you guys what we're going to be doing in this class. So let me share my screen. Can you guys see my slides? Can you give me a thumbs up or just speak up? I don't know if I can see the thumbs up here.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's do this, and then let me also pull out the syllabus here. Might go back and forth here. I'm going to start the home page as well. Um, so so this class is Android mobile development, is CS3714. Today we're going to do course introduction and introduction to Android. You'll be setting up Android today. That's all. And actually, I'm going to show you how I've set up my Android. And I thought today, this morning, I thought maybe I should do everything from scratch, delete the whole Android thing from my computer and start up fresh. And I think that was very foolish of me to do. It took me like 2 hours to set up everything, and it was giving me a lot of bug. I was like really scared. Like, okay, I'm going to the live like class, and then I deleted everything, right? I thought that was quite foolish of me. But I'm not gonna do everything from scratch, but I will show you some settings that you'll be using. And maybe I should turn off my camera while I actually, let me turn off my camera, stop my video. So I don't think I'm gonna show you everything, how to download the Android Studio and everything. I'll let you figure that out. They're good tutorials, but I'm gonna show you some settings that you'll be using throughout the class, how to set up the emulator, um, Gradle, or different things, right? I'll just show the basic, like the SDK, which API you guys are gonna be working. So I'll show you some of those in the Android Studio shortly. I do have Android Studio here somewhere. I didn't open the Android Studio. Let me open that Android Studio here. And while this opens, yeah, let me go back to the slides. Yeah, anyway, so let me start. So my name is Amun Karel. I'm a PhD student in computer science at Virginia Tech. I did my undergrad at University of New Mexico. I was a research student there. I wrote a paper in my undergrad, and my research was mostly about parallel processing. It was about, you can find the research paper online. It was about developing to developing an algorithm, so that the processes between multiple nodes or supercomputers is faster. And we did optimize the algorithm, and I wrote a paper about it. And I did my master's. I was doing my research on mostly deep learning and deep learning techniques for more applied purposes. I was using animal weight estimation using deep learning techniques. So that's what I did in my master's. And then right now I'm working on deep learning, machine learning, and I'm like I don't know, I think I might be jack of all trades, right? I'm not like into like complete optimization of deep learning models, but also I'm using that for applied stuff and HCI, and I'm using AR, VR, and all kinds of cool stuff. And if you're interested about that research stuff, I will talk more later. But I'm doing my PhD right now. I'm not sure who the GTA is. I'm gonna hear back soon. I did put the UTAs for this class. Please check the syllabus. There are two UTAs. I think it was, I forgot the name. Sorry. I just got the UTAs today. So, right. So that's my introduction. Let's look at the syllabus quickly, right? So let me open the syllabus. So the course description, just summarizing it, right? You'll be learning mostly about the major tools, the major things that are available to you in Android that you will be using throughout for developing any kind of Android development, right? So it's not going to be focused so much on the front end and designing and all those kinds of things, but it's going to be mostly based on backend. How do you design a solid, clean architecture for Android, right? So we'll be learning functional programming, we'll be learning and all kinds of techniques, right? So and look into this, right? I'm not going to go into all these details, but we will have a working knowledge of Kotlin programming. Um, so interactive graphic user interface, we'll talk about that. Yeah, employ object-oriented. Oh, so I have more students coming here. Apply asynchronous programming techniques. This is going to be brief, but we will learn about like creating threads and that kind of stuff here. And also talk about
Rates extra credit
Extra
for
credit if I show up. Yeah, you can be
Excuse
like,
me, can you turn off your mic?
That's fucking awesome.
it's fucking extra credit.
Excuse me, Timur, can you
But
turn
it,
off
like
your,
all adds up to a total of 1% extra credit, but which is still, oh, okay.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just
Extra
people.
percent.
That's a whole percent, yeah.
Like rounding errors.
Yeah, please don't do that, all right? So that's very disrespectful, and I don't know if he was deliberate. I assume he was not, but please turn off your mics. And yeah, anyways. So let's continue the lecture here. So the course textbook, it's free. You don't have to buy anything. You can get this book on O'Reilly website, and you can follow the direction how to get access to this website from this link. If you haven't done so, it's free, or you can buy this on Amazon. I think there was a good price. Can the students still hear me? Can someone just say?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so the same thing with this book, Head First Kotlin. I don't know how much we're going to use this book. I think there was just one chapter that we use this book for. The course prerequisite is, like I said, it's just going to be Java, basic knowledge of object-oriented programming. So that's all that you'll be needing. And then systems requirement, please check this because I don't know if it's gonna affect that much in the beginning if you don't have this minimum system memory and all this stuff. But later, as you write more complex projects, you definitely want to have this minimum system memories. But you know what? There are, even if you don't have the laptop, you actually can get a lot of like buy virtual graphic, I mean like virtual computers online. Like there's I don't know any of the top of my head, but there's those things that you can buy, and then they charge you by the hour or something like that that you can get online, and you can set up, you can install Android Studio and do all these kinds of things, right? It's better that you have the computer, but you can always do that. The course structure, class attendance is not required, but I can tell you, like if you don't attend the lectures, I'm going to be recording this and putting it on Canvas course galleries. But if you don't attend, it might be more difficult for you to pass the course. And we'll be learning a lot of cool stuff in this class, right? So in this class, we'll be going beyond what's in the book, and I'll be giving you more techniques. I'll be talking as I'm writing the code, right? So you'll be understanding like, okay, I know book, it's always more difficult to study. I actually do enjoy reading books, but it can be more challenging than looking at a tutorial and getting a commentary on the code being written, right? So it's definitely going to help you succeed in this class. This is what has been historically deemed as the time you need for reading, and the videos. It's going to take about 1.5 hours. Sometimes it's one chapters, and you don't have more than two chapters every week that you need to study. And usually, if you have two chapters, usually two short chapters that you can finish and write the code. And I'm gonna share the code with you, the solutions for all for the book, right? The solutions that has been provided. You can take a look at that. I will share that with you soon. And assignments and assessments 4 to 6 hours, and most of it will be doing it in the class, right? I will definitely be helping you. Like for example, you see here project 1A, 1B, 1C, right? 1B is going to be building off 1A, right? So I see something on the chat here. No, I think you should download the Koala right now. Because a lot of the things the preparation I did for the class, maybe they have not changed too much. I don't think they have. I don't think it's going to make a big difference even if you get the new one. But all the things that are the interface and everything that I'll be using is based off of that, right? So I prepared all the lectures and everything based off that. Um, so anyways, um, so so project 1A, project 1B is going to be based on project 1A. Project 0 is actually going to be independent. It's not going to help us too much with any of the projects, but it is going to help you set up for the class, the Android Studio and everything. And 1C is going to be based on 1A and 1B, right? So there is this dependency. So I'm going to be helping you guys, right? While we are doing project 1C, I'm going to show you how to do 1A and 1B before you move into project 1C. So that even if you and I'm going to go step by step, make a comment on the code um, verbally, not just comment like writing the comment, but I'm going to comment on the code and show you how it's done, right? So, so that you guys don't get discouraged if you feel left behind in the class, you still can cover 1A and 1B, and then you can move on to 1C and do the project, right? Same with 2A, 2B, and 2C. We'll be writing the code for 2A, 2B, and even 2C after you're done with it, right? At the end. And I'll be giving a lot of hints while I'm writing the code for these things. Same with 3. I think 3 is just one project. There's no 3A, 3B, and 3C is 3 weeks for you to complete. Most of the projects for 1 is going to be 1 week time, and they're going to be short projects. For 2A, 2B, and 2C, it's going to be like 2 weeks each. Actually, 2C is going to be 3 weeks, and then project 3 is going to take you 3 weeks, right? So that's how much it's going to take for you guys every week. Course meetings, it says 2.5 hours. I don't think so. Maybe I can even finish everything that I need to finish for this module this week in this lecture, right? What time is it, right? And 2:24, right? So I might be able to finish everything right now, or maybe if I don't finish it, I can finish it on next lecture, right? So usually I would think I would finish the lecture in maybe 1.5 hours, right? So but maybe like just looking at the lectures and writing the code along with me, and maybe you want to rewatch the video, maybe it's going to take 2-3 hours, right? So and then this is the course weight, right? So we're going to have 3 discussions. Discussions is based on your experience of the activities. So the projects 1, 2, and 3, you're going to be talking about those things. You're going to have 4 quizzes, right? And think about this, right? These quiz carry like a higher weight than even the final exam, right? So you want to do well in this quiz, and mostly the quiz is going to be big. If you read the book and listen to the lectures, I think it should be pretty straightforward, right? I've looked at the quizzes, and I don't. And if you listen to, excuse me, if you looked at the book, you follow the lectures, and you done the projects, I think it should. I always recommend doing the quiz after you do the projects and listening to the lectures and reading the books, right? And then you have 8 projects, and then it's going to be 64%. That's going to be the major part. And like I said, most of this we'll be doing in class, right? So I don't want you guys to be discouraged. Like if you miss out something, we will be working a lot in this class. And yeah, anyway, so and we will be building off. And then we'll have one final exam. I have not prepared the final exams. I'll be looking into that, but it's basically probably going to be based on the quizzes, right? It's going to be 10 questions each. It's going to be 4 points, so each, and then this is like 4% each one. And policy 1, right? For the submissions 1, so for the quizzes, there is no late assignment. It's not going to be accepted. One of these will be dropped. And if you have any issues, major things are coming up in your life, or something really urgent happens, I do think I'm very flexible with that. And but I do need evidence for that. I see another question here. Do you have any idea when yeah, the final is probably going to be around December 12. It's going to be open book, open notes. It's going to be probably all day. So don't worry about the final right now. And if you do have like, if like I give you a final exam and that day doesn't work for you, maybe I can change to another day for just the individual, right? It can be done through Canvas. So don't worry about it. It should be pretty straightforward if you've done the quizzes and the projects, right? And this quiz is not going to be accepted late unless you have a very emergency thing come up in your life. And yeah, so things come up, I understand that. And then for projects, you have a 192-hour time bank. So you can use up to 48 hours of deadline. I mean, maximum. If you cross the 48 hours, you're going to get a 0 in the project. And I hope that doesn't happen. I'm here to support you and help you anyway, but that's and remember, like, one thing that might be confusing for students is it's going to be 12 p.m. noon, right? It's not going to be 11:59 midnight, right? I prefer my students write the code and sleep in peace, and wake up and submit it, not scramble and before the due date, right? So I think that's the reason it's going to be 12 p.m. noon. And you do have this 192 hours time bank, right? So and sorry, 48 hours for project, right? And no approval is required. We're going to be calculating this for every student, but I do think students will be able to finish the projects. So the letter grade, you can check that. Again, code integrity and all this, and people do use ChatGPT. I don't think ChatGPT is going to be of much help in this class. The code, like the architecture is like very specific. The projects are very specific. Maybe it does help. I don't know. I've not tried ChatGPT. It did help me today. I was stuck in configuration. I deleted everything and I started the Android Studio from scratch today. I should not have done that. That was quite foolish of me. And there were some issues, and I asked ChatGPT for some help, and I did get help, right? I have no issues with that. But if you please don't write all your code with ChatGPT. I want you to understand everything, comment out things, your code, understand. And there's no point of taking this class, right? If ChatGPT does everything, there's no point of writing clean code, understanding the architecture, and understanding deeply how Android actually works, how the life cycle works, and how the theory behind developing an app works, right? So, and communication. You can ask questions on Piazza. We will set up the office hours for the TA soon, and you can use the Piazza, but I think I think the solution for code is like it's difficult to explain. It might be difficult to explain what's your issue is in just posting a post in Piazza. It might be, and I did help someone this morning, but there might be more to it, right? There might be something that I don't understand, that I don't see the whole picture. So take a look at those office hours, right? I'll be setting maybe an hour, 2 hours of office hours myself. I'll try to answer the Piazza myself, and the GTAs and UTAs will have, I think, 10 hours of office hours, and yeah, you'll have like maybe GTAs will probably have 5 hours, and UTAs will probably have 10 hours, right? So they will be helping you with that, and I will give them the solutions, not for them to give you guys the solution, but just for them to explain what's going on with the code, right? So that's what's like. And let's see, integrity, conduct, communication, questions. Yeah, so questions, please don't share your code in Piazza, but let's talk in more general stuff. I can share code on Piazza, obviously, because I know like what could be like just giving away the solutions, and what's gonna actually take thinking from your part to learn something from this class. Honor code, please look at this. Yeah, so yeah, you can use Stack Overflow. You just need to reference it. I don't think you need to, right? It's just if you have this course is mostly from the B and RG and what you learn from the lectures. Accommodation, I do provide some students with disabilities. I've gotten some students that have issues that I'm going to be helping them as best I can, right? So this is going to be the syllabus. I think I explained it thoroughly. So what's the goal for this class? Let me do the slideshow now. Can you see the presentation slide? Can you give me a thumbs up or just speak up?
Yes.
Okay. So goals for this class is design and programming challenges regarding mobile platform. I see a message here. Oh yeah, it says I can see it. Design and programming challenges related to mobile platforms. Yeah, and then you'll be, so these are the questions: how designing mobile device is different from other platforms, mobile versus non-mobile device capable. So you'll be learning something different. It's going to be, so the main thing that you learn in this class, if you haven't done like, say, like an internship or like worked as a web developer or a mobile app developer or some kind of developer in real life, is the code that you wrote is going to be in the past, in those 2114, 3114, is a lot of building things from scratch. And the architecture, you make your architecture from scratch. But what you learn in this class is the thing that you learn in this class is you're going to be writing a tiny portion of the code, and you're going to be using a lot of the functionality that has already been given to you by Android, right? You'll be using the APIs and things that they have given, and even the architecture, they have already created most of the architecture for you. And the only thing the architecture I'll be teaching you is, there's obviously we're going to be talking about repository pattern, but we'll be talking about model view controller, MVCC, those architecture. But even the architecture is provided for you in a way, So it's mostly going to be, okay, there are more students coming in. So mostly it's going to be like you're just going to be writing a very small portion of the code, and everything is going to be given to you when you're working on these kinds of like production level application that is used in real world, right? So that's how this class is going to be different than maybe your 3114, where you learn the concepts like linked list and binary tree, and you build everything from scratch, right? And you know every single thing what's going on, right? And in this class, like, you might be like, oh, what's happening here? I don't understand. What is this library? What does it do, right? So it's also like takes a lot of like faith, right? You just try it, and you just try like the API or something, and then you just log something, which I'm going to talk about what is logging, and then see and actually try it in your emulator, right? So that's how it's going to be different. And then you're going to be learning this, right, in this class. So let's go to the next slide. Schedule what we will do on this. Another student here. We'll do on Tuesdays and Thursdays is, like I said, the lecture might be finished on Tuesdays, right? And then we have nothing to do on Thursday, and I might just skip saying, hey, you guys are free for Thursdays, or I might just do lectures on Thursday, right? There might be something that I would like you guys to try yourself first, and so that I can do the lectures on Thursday, right? So I'm going to be making announcements on that, right? So the tools for the course is this Android Studio and the book, this book, Big Nerd Ranch Guide. I have shared a couple of links like LinkedIn and some other resources that you can take a look at. But I think if you, as long as you read this book and then follow the lectures, I think you should be fine. Assessments, I think we talked about it. Quizzes, projects, discussions, and final exam. So it's very well structured. I didn't create this the content for this class. It was done by someone else. I think it was a professor from MIT, and he was also a lecturer in Virginia Tech. And I took the resources from that. And I think it's a very well structured class, and I truly believe you will learn the foundations for Android app development from this class, right? So assignments are due on the due date mentioned. It's going to be noon every Monday. If you check the syllabus, it's going to be noon every Monday. So it's the due date is here, right? So if you do check here, it says January 27. January 27. Oh, and remember, there is 2 extra credits. That's just, you get 1%, 2% of your grade for doing these 2 things. I just want to know who you are. I do check who the students are. I do care for the students, and I would like to help the students personally, right? Where they are at, and just, I want to know who you are, right? I'm not trying to be creepy and look at your social profile and all that stuff, right? I just want to know. And the students from my last class know that I do know the students personally, and I try to help them, right? So, and the course expectation, you just need to, there's a true or false. You are just agreeing with the syllabus, right? You're just agreeing with the syllabus. You're just reading this, and you just get extra credit. And if you don't agree with the syllabus, right? This is mandatory in a sense. This is extra credit, but it is mandatory for you guys to do this, right? You are agreeing with the syllabus, or if you have a question, then you're saying, okay, I don't agree with this, professor. Can we change this? Or I might say, if you don't agree with this, might not be the right class for you, right? So, but I hope that doesn't happen. I hope you stick around in this class and learn, right? So PC requirements, I've talked about that. Look at the syllabus for this. There is a playground that you can actually just code Kotlin. You don't need to install anything. You can just go to this playground and start coding this thing, right? We'll be doing some of this in the next class. Um, and there's some other helpful resources, but like I said, we will learn as we go along, right? So you'll be learning like you're not going to be like learning, oh, the for loop and the switch statement and the function and all this design pattern and everything. Like I'm going to learn all about Kotlin. I'm going to learn everything to know about Kotlin, and then I'm going to start my projects. And please don't do that. I mean, if you do that, that's fine, but that might be a waste of time because as the project, I mean, just learn the basics and some videos that I shared with you. And it's fine if you do that. I'm okay with that. It's just I know the semesters can be quite hectic. Um, for the Canvas profile assignment, do we need to change if it's already meets the requirement? You don't have to, but please, you do need to write something. If you check the assignment, you do need to write something after you change the profile, right? Please check the assignment. You do need to write some additional things. What is their question? Okay, thanks. Okay, so we will be learning Kotlin as we go along. We'll be learning some new tricks, right? You will be learning some new tricks as you go along, some functional programming tricks, some new tricks as you go along, right? So why develop for Android? You know what? I don't like to go into all these things, right? It's open, free, and all this stuff. For me, I think it's cool. It's good. Like for you guys, I think it's good to learn, get experience in something in a language that it's going to be real world application rather than just simply learning the techniques in Java to actually build an app. I think that's important. It's okay if you take this Android class. I won't be mad if you do the iOS or Android. It's based on the goals that the students have, what they want to learn. But I think either one, if you take either one, I think it's good to learn these kinds of programming language that you will be using in real world, right? So Android SDK, I installed this. It will have the APIs, the build tools. You will see what these are and the libraries, right? So I'm not going to go into much detail. We are going to do some live coding today, and the visual designer. I'm going to show you what the visual designer is going to be, right? So most of the things is going to be in XML, and then we'll have a visual designer. We're going to talk about what that is pretty soon. And emulator, right? So emulator, we're going to talk about this, right? Emulator is what the word says, emulator, right? So it's going to be something that acts like an Android device in your computer, right? So if you don't have an Android phone, actually, I don't have an Android phone. I did have an Android for the first 12 years of my when I had the phone, but I got an iPhone recently. But you don't need a actual Android to take this class, right? You simply need this emulator. I'm going to show you what this is, emulator, but it actually, whatever you write the code, it's going to show you what it's going to look like in the Android device. So that's an emulator, like what the language says. It emulates like the actual device, right? Or you can have actual Android devices connected. You can actually download your app, you can build your app, put it into your device, and then try it, right? But that's not going to be very practical, right? You're not going to write, okay, I'm going to write one line of code. I'm going to upload this in the App Store, and then I'm gonna that's not practical. I think it's emulator is what are you gonna use to build the application, and then at the end, if you want to try it on your phone, you're going to be putting on or you can put on the device developer mode. You can connect it to your computer and then your phone. You could do that. I think the book tells you how to do it. I'm not going to teach you how to do it. My goal is to just teach you how to develop, and then you can do that on your own, right? Code editor. We'll use the Android Studio. It will have syntax highlighting for Kotlin and Java, code completion to speed up development process. So there's a lot of like, right? It does help you a lot. Refactoring tools for your, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, right? We're gonna when we do, I think it's in module 3 or 4. We're going to talk a little bit about debugging, refactoring, those different kinds of tools, right? So we're going to talk about that. Let's talk a little bit briefly about the Android stack. So you have these big apps like Dialer, email, calendar. And below that abstraction is these things, right? Java API framework that you pull from. Even though it is Kotlin, initially it is highly integrated with Java, right? So the Android Studio, you can actually even write code in Java. It's not recommended now, it's Kotlin, but a lot of the framework are going to be there. And then native libraries offer core functionalities for multimedia, graphics, and performance, right? So there's like even like core functionality, like really like one layer below that, right? You have like if you want to do like performance optimization and different things, you can even go deeper than that. And also Android runtime executes application efficiently. Hell is the one that bridges between the hardware and the software, and that backbone of what the communication is happening between the low level and the high level is done through Linux kernel. And ultimately, this power management, right, ensures efficient energy uses and battery management. So this is usually the Android stack. And let's talk about how it's different, right? So how we have 25 more minutes. Sorry, 45 more minutes, and then let's talk about a little bit of more theory, and then we're going to jump into Android Studio. So it doesn't have any main method like in Java, right? Androids do not have direct starting point like main in traditional programming language. Instead, the system manage the app life cycle to callbacks method. And I'm going to talk about this, right? And I'm going to also talk about this while I'm programming. Activities, the fundamental building block of the Android application is the activity. An activity represents a single screen in the app and has a well-defined life cycle, right? So let me explain what this life cycle is, right? So if we go to Android Studio, so you see here like on create. So this is where you will start creating your programs, right? So when you create an app, it has an Android like it has a like a activity, it has a life cycle, right? So this is where it starts. When we create a new app, then it will start creating the app, and then it will start. Then it is not visible when it's just created. Then it will take the layouts and the XML files and the visual layouts and those things, and then it will become visible, right? And then it will be visible to users. But you turn off, you take the app in the background, right? And then you use another app, then it gets paused, right? It is visible, it's resumed, it's paused here, and then if it's like partially visible, then you can resume the app, right? But if it's like completely like you swipe away the app from your phone and you are no longer using that app, right? Then you can, and then you have to restart the app, right? It doesn't go to the to the created, but it's gonna go to the started. And you destroy the app, you deleted the app, or you remove like all the data that's being stored in the app by like going to the settings and removing all the things that are being stored in your app, right? Then you have to start from the beginning. It goes to on create again. So this is how the life cycle works, and this is going to be much more clear to you guys after you start programming, and then after you start seeing the architecture, right? This does give you some picture, but it has to be done. So let's go more, right? Call when the activity is first created, used to initial setup. So it will help you with loading UI elements, right? So you'll be putting like the UI elements is basically the front end stuff, like the buttons and the menus and the text and all those things, like the scrolling and the recycler view. And if you don't know what the recycler view is, it's gonna come up later in the lectures, right? So, and it's gonna be that's what it's this state is transient because it quickly transitions to the next state, which is the started, right? It says it loads everything and it says like it started now, right? Calls when the activity becomes visible to the user. At this point, the app is visible, but the user cannot yet interact, right? So it is two steps. It happens really quickly, these two things, the on create and the on start. These two things happen pretty quickly. And then on resume, right? Then called when the activity moves to the foreground, right? It becomes active. It's now you're interacting with the app. The user can interact with activity, touch, input gestures. This is the running state of the app. On pause is called when the activity is partially obscure. In this class, in I think lecture, I think it's in module 6B, you will be creating dialogues. So when the dialogues appears, then this your activity is going to be in the foreground again, right? So it's going to be paused, and then it's going to be on the background, so it's going to be paused. The activity is still visible but cannot be interacted with, right? Resources that are not needed can be paused to save processing power, right? So there's a lot of optimizing techniques, but you do need to understand this theory to be able to program in Android. And then you have the stop call when activity is completely hidden from the user, switching to another app or pressing the home button, right? So you have, then you are, your app is stopped at that time. The activity is not visible, but the instance and the variable are retained. It can be brought back to the foreground when the user navigates. And this all happens in this thing, right? If you go away from if you stop the app and you want to go back, then it's going to come back to the on create, right? Then in this bundle, save instant state, it will hold the state, right? So for example, if you are scrolling your app and you and then you go away from that app, right? And you are in a certain point in your scrolling, like there's an article that you're watching, or scrolling that, right? That will be saved, and then unless the app is completely destroyed, right? So you have on destroy, that is going to destroy the app, and then on restart followed by on start and on resume. So it's going to go back to on start and on resume. So we're going to do some live coding. I'm going to give you guys some hint. The solutions for the book is going to be here. There's a link. I think if you go there, there's a Google Drive, and you can download this, right? These are all the solutions for the book available here. You can get that link. And then let's do some live coding, right? So let's go to Android Studio. And can you see the Android Studio here? Everyone, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's move on to Android Studio. Let me drink some water real quick. So let's get to Android Studio. Is the recording being turned on? Just to make sure. Can you guys see if it's being recorded? Can you give me a thumbs up or just speak out loud?
Yeah, it's being recorded.
Cool, because I don't want to like record this again, right? It's takes very time consuming. The emulator, I got a question here from Shem. It says emulator separate or included. It is included in the Android Studio. You do need to do some setup. So this is what your Android Studio is going to look like. Let me start a new project. I'm going to actually go to the Canvas page. I'm going to see exactly what you guys see. I'm going to go to Canvas page. I have two screens here. I'm going to put this project 0 in my other screen here. And I'm going to follow along. I'm going to follow this tutorial, and then I'm going to follow this tutorial, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new project. I'll share you guys some setup stuff, right? So this is what you guys are going to be doing here. You're going to start a new project. You're going to do a new project. This is what's going to happen when you set up your app for the first time. And if you look at the project 0 instructions, it says create a no activity. I think the book tells you to create empty views activity, but please don't do that. Go to no activity template. I think someone already submitted the assignment actually. Maybe they did read the instructions from this. So go to no activity, click on this, go to next, and then the application name is going to be, I think, GeoQuiz. And then it's going to be, the package is going to be eduvt.mobiledeb. This is correct actually, but you might have to change this, right? You might have to change the package name here. It's going to be edu, and all of our projects is going to be the same, right? Don't forget to do this when we're testing it. This is going to be very important. You're going to be giving your code, exporting your code and giving to the TAs, and the TAs will be grading, and this is going to be important, how you name your package, right? So please be careful about that. It's going to be Kotlin. Make sure that it's API 34. I'm not going to do API 35. I recently came out. I think it's, we're going to stick to API 34. It's not going to make a big difference, actually. I don't think there's a big difference, but it's just I didn't have enough time to upgrade this course, right? There's a lot of moving parts if I change this course. So I still recent, it's still new. Maybe we are like one semester behind. Maybe the latest version was like maybe last semester. But we're gonna still, I don't think you guys are gonna miss out. Like if you go and to your workplace or like you do an internship and you change to 35, you're not gonna see a big difference, I don't think, because not a big change happens in just one API, right? So, and I think in the other section, the professor actually changed to 35, and he said it's not a big change, right? So it's please make the Kotlin build configuration to Kotlin DSL. So we're gonna finish the setup. And I'm also gonna take the code that I wrote previously. I'm gonna move it to my other screen here so that maybe if I make some mistakes, I can, because live coding can be pretty daunting, right? It can be quite, I can make some mistakes here and there. And it's difficult, right? So I would like to have some code on the side if I do make some mistakes while I'm coding here. So So it's going to take, right? So immediately, it's difficult to start writing the code because it's building. If the Gradle is building, so don't start writing the code immediately. Wait for this Gradle to build first. It's going to build. It's going what it's doing right now. It's going to this GeoQuiz, and then you have this. So now I think I think the build is done here. So now it goes to this Gradle scripts, and it will take all the packages that we need here. Here are the things like, okay, we're going to use this KTX. We're going to use the app compat. We're going to use JUnit for testing. All these things has to be, first of all, it has to build first before you start programming, right? So please wait for a little bit before you start doing that. And then let me talk about a couple of settings, right? You go to tools, you go to SDK manager. This is important that you have the SDK to Android 14 upside down cake and 34 and revision 3. This is installed. You can do this, right? If it's not installed, it can be installed here, and then you can select this and press OK. Right now I'm not doing this, but for example, if I go to Android 35, then if I need to actually download it, and if I click on next, it's going to start downloading, right? But I'm not going to make any changes. This is what you're going to be using. The second thing is you guys are going to be going to, where is that? Device manager, right? So you guys will be going to a device manager, and someone, I think Sham asked that, is the emulator in the Android Studio? Actually, it is. It's pretty neat. You don't have to do anything outside Android Studio for this class, and it's going to give you a structure. It's going to give you a peace of mind. You don't have to run around. Like, for example, I do a lot of programming in Unity for my research, and I have to connect a Visual Studio Code, and I have to connect another thing here and connect to another thing. And it's a lot of pain, right? But here it's Android Studio. It's a lot of peace of mind. Everything is at one place, right? So what you guys will be doing first is I've already set up a emulator here, right? I'm not going to create a new emulator, but I'm going to show you how I would do it. So you're going to create a virtual device, and then here you'll be choosing what kind of phone, or like what kind of resolution or what kind of phone you'll be using, right? But we're going to be using this 5.7, right? So if you are starting the project, please do this 5.7 inch and then 1080 times 2280 and pixel 4, right? So you'll be doing that. Click on next, and then you'll be also choosing upside down cake 34, and then press next, and then you will be yeah, and then you'll just to finish, right? And then it will take some time to set up. It will take some time, and then it's done, right? And then you just open this up. You just open this, and then the device will start running here, and then it's done. And then in this class, we'll be using this thing called Logcat. I'll talk more about this. I don't need to talk too much about this. So I've already opened this before, right? Before I even started the class. I went to the lecture. I already started this, but it's going to take some time for you guys to set up. Yes, I have a question here. It is width or height. I think the width is going to be smaller than the height if you look at it, but I think the width is going to be that 1000 something and the height is the 2000 something. I think it's yeah, so good question. But anyway, but it takes some time when you start. The first time it might take 5 minutes for you guys to open this up, right? So now this is opening up. You can open a camera, you can open a message, different things, right? You can do different things. The Logcat is where you're going to be seeing a lot of the errors, and you can log your stuff, right? You can do that. You see, the message is opening here. You don't have to open the message. To go back, it's like your device, right? So this is your home button. This is your overview. This is your overview. I can swipe it, right? It's like an Android device. Now I can swipe it here. Let me take this away, make my screen a little bit bigger. Let me close this now. There's some build failures. This probably won't happen to you. Like I said, I messed up a lot of stuff this morning. I really regret building everything from scratch, but I'm gonna fix it, right? So it's fine. So if you go to this is gonna go to the home button. You can look at all the things. You can click on it. It's like an Android device, basically. And you can go here, click on that. You can swipe it. What's happening here? I can swipe it. I already created the GeoQuiz. Let me clean that. Let me clean this up as well. Let me clean all this stuff, right? I can clean all this. And I can take a screenshot. It's basically like an Android device, right? It's an emulator. And then I can go to home. I can go do a back screen, and I can do all this. I can do rotation. I can rotate left like this. And then I can rotate right, I can do all kinds of stuff, right? And then if I say somewhere here that I can do a setting somewhere, I'm gonna that's gonna actually rotate this whole thing. I'm gonna get back to that. And then you can rotate back to this, right? So I think there's a setting that you can actually change here that can hold on. You can do like a auto rotate basically somewhere here, but I'm gonna get into that soon. It's in the lectures, but anyway, so this is how it works. Let me hide this. Then we're not gonna do too much version control or Git. It's very good to learn Git, and it's really nice to have Git, but mostly I don't want to put too much burden on you, right? It might be already overwhelming. I mostly focus on solving the problem. You'll be exporting the project that you do, export it to zip, and you'll be submitting on Canvas. You won't be doing too much. And then we'll be doing some app inspection later in this class. You'll be doing inspecting the app. You'll see some really cool stuff about the database here. We're going to talk about that later, right? And then you have the project here. You can open it, you can close it. And then you have the resource manager. I might use this occasionally. There is some useful features here, but there's also this project, right? So this is mostly the thing that we're going to be dealing with here. And then there's this is where you're going to be writing the code, right? So here, edu vt, this is where you're going to be writing the code. This is where you're going to be doing the Android test. This is the unit test. That means you're going to be testing the functions that you're writing, but this is going to be testing on, this is called the instrumented test, right? I think this is going to be on module 3 or module 4. We're going to go into much more detail about this, but here basically you'll be testing on an actual emulator. So in that test, when you do that test, it's actually going to be running, on your device. Running devices. The test is going to actually run on your device when you run this test, right? So we're going to talk about that. So it's going to be pretty cool. It's coming in the future. So those are everything. Let's start doing the project. I will try to finish project 1A today. Hopefully not 1A, project 0. I hope I can finish everything today so that I don't have to come to the lecture on Thursday, that we can focus on the second module, right, for next week. So this is what it looks like. And now I'm going to go back to the canvas and look at what it says here. Right click. So I'm going to have to right click here. It says right click on the topmost of here, and then I create a new, and then I create activity, and then it says I create empty views activity, right? So you guys are going to be creating an empty views activity. So here, make sure that this is a launcher activity. This is the only thing you're going to be changing. That means when the app launches, this is the program through which the app is going to launch, right? Right now we don't have anything to launch, but this is the code that's where it's going to start, right? So this is where we are going to learn that. So keep it to Kotlin. We're going to write it in Kotlin. We're not going to do Java in this class. And then generate a layout file. We do need a layout file. So when I do this layout file, right, it's going to go to this folder called the resource folder. I'm going to show you. I can't click it right now, but it's going to create this layout file. So the layout file will have a front end code for this this activity code, right? So I'm going to show you what that is here pretty soon. So now you created this main activity. You don't need all this code. Let me delete all this stuff. We don't need that for now. And then this is all we need for now. And then I'm going to delete all this stuff later. Now it generated the layout file as well. So this is called the resource folder, right? And when you did that, when you click that, then what it did was it generated activity main.xml file when you said generate a layout for that, right? So it makes it pretty convenient for you. Now it's saying this is the screen that's going to be showing up when you actually run the program, right? So this is where we're going to do the front end, the visual stuff, right? I'm going to come back to that soon. And the book basically does in this part, there's two different sections here, the code and the design. I'm gonna show you something different from the book, right? I'm gonna teach you something different. I'm mostly gonna be using the design. You can do split, you can actually use both the code and the design, but mostly I'm gonna be teaching you different. I'm gonna show you the design part here so that we can drag and drop and we can just design basically everything here, right? So that we don't have to write everything from the code. And in the future, lectures, when you're going to do more complex stuff, I think it's good that you learn to design from here rather than writing everything from the code, right? So I'm going to show you something different today. So that's what happens, right? Now we need to go to the project here says, so let's go to the, it says, now you have to tell the Android Studio what to load when the app starts. So we need to do some configuration, right? So what to start when the program starts, right? So I think it already has configured itself. If it hasn't done so, you need to do this. You need to add this intent filter and you need to add this launcher and everything. But looks like it has already done that for us. But if it hasn't done that, then please add this as it says in the Canvas in the homework in the assignment page. Please do this, but it looks like it's already been taken care of. It's going to go to this main.activity and it's going to be launched itself, right? So it seems like it's taken care of, right? So we don't need to do anything with that. We don't need to do anything with that. Now we need to open the activity.main.xml. So we're going to work with the front end of the code, right? We're going to work how it's gonna look like. Now today we're going to actually finish our first Android app, right? And we're going to show how that's going to look like. And now we're going to go to the layout activity main.xml. And now we're going to change some things, right? So this is the main thing where the code is going to be written, but this is like a hierarchy. This is like a tree data structures, right? And I'm going to show you what to do. But first of all, just take my word for it now. I'm going to explain more what's going to happen. But you're going to have to convert this view. You're going to have convert this view to a linear layout right now. That's where we're going to code. Actually, in chapter 6, in module 6, you're going to learn how to do constraint layout, right? But in this lecture, I'm going to teach you to do the linear layout, right? So please just take this step of faith. Trust me what I'm doing right now. I'm going to explain this in detail, right? So this gave me a linear layout of horizontal linear layout. It does have the context. Let me remove this context, right? I don't need this context. And you have this thing called the attributes. I can remove that, or I can click on that and I can see the attributes here again. So let me remove the context. We don't need that context. It is connected with the main activity. We don't need that. I can remove this using this subtract button. So let me remove that, and then so this is horizontal right now, but there is some. So this is the linear. So just give me a second here. I don't know why this is not calling it the linear layout, right? So let me go to the code view and change something real quick. I don't know why this is not saying it's the linear. Oh yeah, so there's a problem here, right? There's an error here. It should have converted it to a linear layout, but somehow it's not recognizing. So this is really beautiful about Android Studio is you can refactor a lot of the code with just clicking on these issues and it will give you a solution. So the problem that we encounter here is we need to set the orientation to horizontal by default. So it didn't do that, right, when I did on the design view. So I need to set it to horizontal. Now I think it should be fixed. If I go to design, it should tell me, or still doesn't tell me it's actually, let me change this again one more time. Maybe that helps. Convert view, linear layout, apply. It didn't do that. It shouldn't matter too much. I think it's still a linear layout. Yeah, it does say it's a linear layout. So somehow it does say main still. Maybe it's because of the ID. So let me remove this ID, right? Maybe that's the issue here. So now, yes, exactly. Now, because the ID was named, it was calling itself main. So now it says it's a linear layout, right? So basically what this does, it's giving us a box here. It's giving us a box. This linear layout is giving us a box where we can put other things here, right? So for example, now it's saying match parent, right? So what this match parent is basically saying is give me everything that's available on the screen, like what's available to the parent, right? So give me the whole width and give me the whole height. So for example, if I did like a wrap content here, it would have said like, okay, since you don't have anything here or text box or anything like that, I'm going to take it away. You don't need anything in the width, right? But I'm going to do match parent. It's going to take everything. Same with the wrap content here. It says like, okay, you don't have anything. So I'm not going to wrap anything because you don't have anything, but I'm going to do match. I'm going to do match parent. so that it gets everything, right? So by the way, we need to change this again from a linear layout horizontal. So we need to change this to convert view to horizontal, because this is horizontal, right? This, we need to have it vertically, sorry, not horizontally, sorry. So we need to convert linear layout, so we need to convert it to vertical, right? So that's the first thing you need to do. The book does everything with code, but I want to teach you how to use this design here so that you get comfortable while you do more complex projects, right? So now you have this vertical thing, and that's what you need to do. And then let me add some stuff here, right? So see what we're doing here. Now you need to add like a text button for the project, sorry, text view for the project. And now it says something here, right? If I put like hello world here, it's gonna say hello world now. You see, it says, actually, let me, I don't think you guys are seeing this too much. Let me remove everything. Let me increase the size of this screen. So now I said hello world, and now when I put hello world, it's saying hello world in here, right? But in the project 0, we need to put this in the center, in the middle, right? To do that, the vertical, we need to make everything is like, it has to start from the center here, right? To do that, we need to add like a attribute here, declare an attribute, click on this plus sign, and then we need to go to gravity, and then click on gravity, and then here it will give us some things, right? And then we need to put on center and then apply it. So this is going to put everything in the center, right? It's going to put this hello world in the center. And now you can get rid of this. There was another extra one here. And then we need 2 buttons, right? The true or false button. And then we will have to create like a toast or a snack bar if you read the book. So now you need to have 2 buttons here, right? So we'll create another linear layout here, right? So that inside that linear layout, we're gonna create 2 buttons, right? But we need a horizontal linear layout, not a vertical one, right? Because it's not like this, it's gonna have to stay like vertically here. Let me show you what I mean here. Now go to the layout here, and then drag this horizontal back here, down here. It should go here, and then it pushed this all the way up here, right? You know why it pushed everything up to the top? Because it's match parent, right? It's saying, I'm going to take the whole space that's not you. So we're not going to do that this time. We're going to use wrap content. So it says like there's nothing here. So it's going to take no space. And going to do the same thing with the layout height. It's going to take no space. Now you see it's just below this, right? And then let's also put some padding. For this text, we're going to need some padding in all directions, right? Top, bottom, everything. So we'll add padding. We'll take this Android padding and then say we'll do 24 dp. And you might be asking, what is this dp, right? And that's a good question. We're going to talk more about this, and I think it's in the 2nd or 3rd lecture. But basically, remember that this dp is adding some kind of padding right now. We're going to talk more about this in the future lectures, which maintains the consistency, right? Now in this linear layout, which is horizontal, we did do everything, I think, for this. For the text, it's hello world. We did the hello world, right? But this was hard coded. Everything was hard coded here, right? We don't want to do that. We want to store this. We want to click here, and then after we click here, we want to store everything in a string value. And now just trust what I'm doing right now, but I'm going to explain real quick what this is, right? So we need to create a string named question text, and then here we will say what the book. This is what we need to solve in the assignment. Canberra is the capital of Australia. I think that's what the book asks you to do, right? So, and then we just say okay, and then now we just click okay. Now this is not hard coded, it's coming from somewhere, right? That somewhere is this thing. If you go to values and go to string XML, this, what I did, it just came here and then just put Canberra is the capital. I messed up this spelling, but it's fine. Capital of Australia, right? So this is what's happening here. Now it's not hard coded. It's a good practice not to hard code anything, right? So now this is where that string coming from. Now what you want to also do for the text is you added the you also added the wrap content. You need to add the wrap content for the layout width as well. So you'll see now what it does, right? When you did the match parent, it took the whole space. But when you do the wrap content now, it's only going to take the space as it's needed, and and also the padding, right? That's the only space it's going to take. And in the linear layout, it doesn't have anything. It's wrap content, so it's not taking any space. But let's put two buttons here, right? So we'll go to buttons, and then we'll add two buttons here, right? So we'll add the first button, and then it gave us a button, and then there's another button. We're going to have a true and a false button, right? So now let's work on the button, right? Now you have the button. You can remove this layout weight. You might not know what this is. I'm going to explain in the future lessons. It's not very important right now, but I'm going to explain that in the future lessons. So let me remove this. And then the ID, in the textbook, it's going to be true button, right? So you need this ID, right? Why you need this ID is you will use this ID while you go to the main activity, and you'll use this ID. Actually, we need to do the refactor if we change that. After you change that, you need to refactor it, right? And then you'll use that ID here so that you can access when someone clicks on that, you will know that someone clicked on that based on that ID, right? So that's why we need the ID. We'll call it the true button. We'll change the text here. The same thing, we'll do the string. We're going to set the string value. We're going to set it to true button, and then we'll just say true, and then we press OK, and then press OK. So there we got it. And then we also gonna add the same thing here. Wrap content, everything is okay. Let's remove this layout weight. I'm gonna explain more in the future lectures. ID, let's change it to false button, and then it will ask you to refactor. So let's refactor that. And then it became a false button. And then let's change the string again for this as well, right? So let's do this, add this string value, and then we can just say false button. That's the name of it. And this is the key, and this is a value. Just think of this as a key and a value, right? And this is gonna be false. And then you do false, and then you got the false, right? There's some issue that you're getting some warnings. I did put some code to remove this warning. I put some on Canvas to do that. You just need to basically copy this code from. Later, I'm going to show you how to get rid of these errors in a more sophisticated, more like a practical way in the future, but just copy this code for now. But in the future lecture, we're going to use something called spacing here, which I'm going to be teaching you guys. But now just go to this code view again, and then just add this code in the button, right? So you'll be just adding in the button, and then copy and then paste this code. I've given this code in the Canvas page, so just copy and paste that. It should get rid of those warnings. Right now, it does give some padding and some spacing between these two button, right? So I think that's it. I think we are done with it is centered. Let me get rid of this. It is centered. It is centered, and I think we have everything we need, right? We have everything we need to get started. We have like few minutes. Is it okay if I continue this lecture and finish it today so that you guys don't have to come on Thursday? Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
And this is going to be recorded, so even if you do miss it, I don't want to take a direct poll, but I think it's better if we finish everything today, right? So is everything making sense so far to you guys? Everything making sense? All right, so we are done with the activity with this layout. Right now we go to the main activity. I don't know what the issue is. It's giving some errors here. I'm exactly not sure why, but maybe when we do, let's see what it says here. Unused, expecting a top level declaration. So I think if as we continue writing the code, I think these errors should go away. So let's go to the code, right? So what we need to do is in the slides, it talks a little bit about the bundle. I do hope you guys go to the slides and then check what this bundle is doing. But basically what it's like a key value pair. It's saving the states of the Android device, right? So for example, if you use the Android device and then, oh, actually, I see there is an extra brace here. That's why the issue is coming. Okay, that's where the error is coming here. So we remove that brace, right? So now when you're using it and then you stop using the app, you move away from the app, and then you use it again. It has to create that application, and then it will use the state from the previous state that is in the app, and then it's going to be in the save state, right? So that is that, and we need to pass this on create. So where is this on create coming from, right? So this is a main activity is an extension. It's a type of app compat activity, right? So if you want to use any kind of activity, which we're going to go into much more detail in the future lecture, you guys are going to start understanding what this activity is. So it is just taking this extension. That means it can use all the functionalities that is available in here. It can even override the functions that is available in there. Like for example, on create, we can override these functions. And in the future, we'll see it has multiple functionalities such as on create, on reset, on restart, different kinds of functionalities, right? So this is an extensions here, right? So we just need to write the code on that, right? And first of all, we need to write two different buttons here, right? Private, late, init var, and true button. And I'm going to explain all of this, what it's doing here. True button, button. And feel free to leave the class, right? It's overtime. I'm going to be posting this on recorded lecture on the Canvas. And then, yeah, feel free to leave, but I would like to finish it so that you guys don't have to come on Thursday. So the button is not here. In MacBook, I can simply use like option and return. If I do that, it immediately gives me this import button, and I can import this widget button, right? I don't know what it's for Windows. I'm not sure. Please Google that, right? So if you want to know what that is. So late init var, and I'm going to explain what this late init var and all this is doing, right? False button, right? So basically, like if you've done Java, this might be confusing to you, right? Because in Java, the data type is usually mentioned at the front, but this is the data type button, late init var, right? So if you, I shared some videos with LinkedIn link on Canvas. If you look at this, these two lectures, they will explain in much more detail, but in short, Kotlin is very strict about a variable being null, right? So we didn't assign anything to this, right? We didn't say this equals to a button, and we didn't initialize this anything like that, right? So we didn't do that. That means this is basically null. This hasn't been initialized yet, right? So that means it's saying basically you are going to be initializing this in the future. This is your problem if you don't initialize it. You are going to take responsibility for that, right? So this is basically saying, so because if I take this away, it's going to give you issues, right? Because this Kotlin is very strict on that, right? So we have to put this. There's some couple of questions. So you are going over time, so won't be class on Thursday. Yeah, that's right. If I finish this lecture, there won't be any class on Friday, and I do think I can finish in the next 10-15 minutes. Sorry about that, but I think it's better that you guys finish it. So that, and you can ask me questions if not something didn't make sense. If after you watch the lectures, then you can ask me the questions. So anyway, so let's move on to this, right? And then var, there are two kinds of variables, declaration, var and val. Var is something you can change. If you do var, then you can change, like if var int you put equals to 3, you can change this to 4, but if it's val, you can't change it, right? And we'll see there's a lot of like benefits of creating a variable as val, right? So that it doesn't get changed and it messes up the whole code. Someone like a junior developer comes into the project and he doesn't know what the developer is doing, right? And he tries to change a variable, but it says it cannot be changed, right? And that's a good news. That means he realized, oh, I cannot change this. This is fixed. This cannot be changed. And there's a lot of benefits to using val, right? So you can do something like val, which cannot be changed. But we don't need that. We will use the var. In the future, we'll be changing some stuff in the future project. So we'll be using var, right? So this is basically what it's doing, right? I hope all of this, everything makes sense here now. So let's move on, right? So now it's super, like it's just saving that state on create on its main app compat activity. This is on its main parent class. If you are familiar with object-oriented programming, it's just saying, take this save state, something that has been saved from the last activity, and then use that again, right? That's what it's saying. Now we need to put this thing. We need to put this activity main XML in the main activity, right? We haven't done so, right? We need to put this thing and be able to run from main activity, right? So to do that, we're going to do something called set content view, and this is already given to us by this app compat and all this. So this function is already given to us, so we're going to just use that, right? So now we can set that layout, right? So how do I do that is we just do r.layout.activity main, right? So this is named activity main and r.layout. So what r.layout is resource.layout.activity main. So the resource is basically this resource.layout.activity main, right? So basically it's saying I want you to put this activity main in this activity. Basically, that's all it's saying, right? So that's all it's saying. Now we're going to create the true button, and we're going to find what this button is, right? So we could actually create a button from here, but we're not going to do that. Since we already created a button, we're just gonna put this button here now, right? So how do I do that? It's find view by ID, and then I'm just gonna say RID. So you're just gonna do RID, and then you're just gonna put the true button, because that's the ID that we gave to this button, right? True button is the ID of this, and then false button is the ID of that, right? So we're just gonna say, I'm gonna ask the resource, give the ID, and I'm gonna ask from that ID what I need for this true button, right? So basically that's all you're doing here. So false button equals to find view by ID, and then you're gonna do RID dot false button. The same thing is the same thing. Now you got the buttons, you have this layout. Now what do we need to do, right? The only thing we need to do is, like, when someone clicks on this button, we need to set a listener. We need to set a listener, and then we need to do something, right? The something is gonna be in this project, project project one. So project 0, you're gonna have to put a snack bar, right? So basically that's what you're doing. So true button dot set on click. So now we're putting a listener when somebody clicks on this, and this is how we're doing the functional programming. So basically in functional programming, when this happens, we're going to go much deeper into this, right? Functional programming. Next class, I'm going to be giving like the first 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about that. Basically, it's expression. Something can be done, and it's going to return that basically to this thing. It's like a method inside, but it's going to return it basically from here. That's what it's doing. We're going to give the view that it's holding right now. And then we're gonna import the view. Basically, we're gonna it's the view where this main activity is being run, right? We're just gonna take that view and give it here, right? So now what do I do with the snack bar is just to the snack bar. We need to import this as well. That's the benefit of using Android Studio. It tells you what you need. It's going to be this thing, Android Material snack bar, right? So we'll use the snack bar, and then we're going to do make. And how do I make it? First of all, I need to give the view where the snack bar is going to show itself. Second, we're going to show the text. The text is going to be correct, right? When we click on the true, we're going to say Canberra is the capital of Australia. It's correct, so we're going to do correct. And then we're going to do how long is the snack bar is going to be, like, right? So it's going to be length dot short. I think it's going to be how long it's going to last. We're going to make it, and then we have to, this simply is just going to create a snack bar, but it's not going to show anything, but we want to show it, right? So this is a method. It's going to return it, and when someone clicks it, this is going to be returned, right? This is what it's going to do. This is how functional programming works. We're going to do a lot of examples on functional programming, and then this is going to be second nature to you. But by the time you're done with the first project 1 and project 2, it's going to be pretty intuitive to you guys. So same thing with false button. Let's copy and paste this code. I don't want to take too much of your time. False button. Let's click on that, and then set click listener will do incorrect, and snack bar length, everything is the same. Now let's try running the code. This code might give some issues. I did break a lot of stuff this morning as I was trying to delete everything. All the, like, it was not breaking before I deleted the whole Android Studio and tried to reinstall from scratch. It might break. Please don't be discouraged or be like, oh wow, this broke, and the same thing is going to happen to me. Please don't be discouraged. I think it might break. I hope it doesn't break. I hope it fixed it. I did use ChatGPT to fix some configuration today. I'm going to fix some configuration if it still gives me some issues. So now you press on the run, and now it's just going to run on the emulator, right? So everything we did is going to run on the emulator. And this is it. This is your project phase 0, by the way. Project phase 0, this is 4% of your grade. You're done. You're basically 4% of your grade if you're 10. So it did give some errors. I'm just going to quickly fix some Gradle stuff. I did figure out the way to this. Basically, we do need to change it to the old Gradle stuff. So let me just change this real quick. Let me copy and paste this. So I need to change some dependencies. You might not have to do it. I really broke a lot of code. I was playing with the code, and I was like really it was really foolish of me to just be playing around with the code right before the lectures. So it was not good, but we're gonna fix that. All right, so I need to just change this dependency to the older version to API 34, I think, and that should fix it. Now I changed something with the Gradle. I need to sync it. You guys might not have to do this, right? If you do, just let me know. I'm gonna put this on Piazza. How this was, how I fixed this, right? I basically asked ChatGPT to help me with the configuration. And sometimes it's either Stack Overflow or ChatGPT, or you have to look at some documentations, right? So it's okay to use ChatGPT if it's like things you understand, right? And then now it says there's something it could not resolve. It's fine. Let's try running it. It did sync it and see if it runs. And I hope it does run this time. Is this enable edge to edge? Maybe I should remove those things. There is something that's giving me, maybe just remove this. I don't think I need this stuff. Let's try running this again. It's not gonna happen. We're not gonna get errors from next class because, oh, I think it's running now. We're not gonna get error because I'm gonna give you the template, right? So you're not gonna be fixing this Gradle and all this stuff. From next class, guys will be getting a template, right? So you guys don't have to worry about running into all these configuration issues. So now let's look at this, right? We did get this. Main activity was connected to this because of the set content view. Everything was designed, and then now we put a listener here. When we click the true, exactly. So that's the end of your project, right? So I just finished your project for you guys. We're just setting it up. And in the future project, you will be doing things yourself, but I am going to be helping with a lot of the stuff. So please don't be discouraged if you don't figure it out everything yourself. We're going to learn a lot of those things in the lectures. So true or false, it's working. That's the end of your project. Feel free to put your name and your projects, and that should be it, right? So let me just turn this off, and let me turn off the share. Do you guys have any questions? That's the end of the first lecture. Yeah, any questions? Was that clear? Can anyone hear me? All right, so if everything is clear, there's no more questions. Of course, you can ask questions in Piazza. I got a thumbs up from Catherine. So if you have no more questions, please complete project phase 0. We basically finished everything, right? We finished everything line by line. Yes, I am going to post the video after the class. I did try to explain everything line by line. Please look at the video again if something was unclear, and ask me questions if you. I did change some stuff with the Gradle. Yeah, no class on Thursday since we finished everything. No class on Thursday. And yeah, I finished everything. So I think, yeah, there's no point in having a class, but ask me questions if there's any confusion. Please finish project phase 0. Please finish your introduction, and also please finish your, what is that? The course agreement, right? And that should be it. And if you have any questions, please let me know on Piazza. Thank you very much. I'm gonna stop the recording.